Hello everyone, Harris Williams here. Today I'm going to walk you through how to develop a offensive inside zone play. We're going to start from the desktop welcome screen. We click the edit play button and now you have several options for creating new items. You can create a personnel, formation, play, ID, scheme, rep, set. We're going to click new play. You can see up top here you have several different parameters that you can select from when creating a play. You can select the side, it's going to be an offensive play. I've already created an offensive formation to build from, so I'm going to click offensive formation, off left, and then the play direction, we're going to set that to be to the right side. A play type, we're going to make that go to the run, and then we're going to have the name, and we're going to have it say inside zone right. And then we click create. Now you're welcomed with a dialog asking you if you would like to build it from a scheme. A scheme is basically a set of assignments that goes to a group of players. For now, we're going to build from scratch, but I will talk to you about how to build from a zone scheme later on. So we build from scratch. Now it's asking me, where do I want to save the play? If I wanted to save it in the home directory, I'd click home up here in the upper left-hand corner, and then I could click the save button. But really, I want to save it with all my other offensive plays. So I click on the playbook, go and find it, and I click save. Now I'm greeted with an empty play. What I first want to do before I start creating this play is I want to change this offensive and defensive scenario so it's something that I'm more likely going to see. So I go up here, clicked on the scenario change button. Now I'm going to type in a new defensive play call. I'm going to want to say, let's show it against under defense. So we click under, base, and now you're going to see the defensive alignments change according to what I have just specified. Next, you might have noticed this checkbox just became selected. Basically, it's saying these are going to be scenario-specific changes. Scenario-specific changes means that all the changes that I make will only be shown when I use this specific scenario. So when it's inside zone versus under base, that's how it will look. But really, I want this to be default changes. So I click on that, and then I click set as default. So when you set something as default, that means that all the changes will be as the default changes. So if there are no scenario-specific changes for a specific scenario, it will automatically default to these changes that we're about to make. And then I want to set this scenario as the default scenario. By setting this scenario as the default scenario, what that means is if a player comes in and he types in inside zone right, but he doesn't type in an offensive formation, MentalRep will automatically create the scenario that you used as the default. It helps for your freshmen or the guys that are learning the playbook that don't really understand the finer nuances and the different formations and play calls and how they go together. So all they need to know is just one part of the play call, and MentalRep will take care of the rest for them. So we set as default. And that's pretty much it for changing the scenario. So now we click on a player. So we click on the right guard here. And once we click on the right guard, you'll see that this toolbox over here has changed. This is where the different assignments will be shown. If I click add an assignment, I will be able to add different types of assignments to this specific player. You can see that there's many different types of blocking assignments, a run route and pull assignments, transfer for passing and handing off, and then making a decision. All players have a base assignment. A base assignment basically tells the player what he will do after he's done performing his other assignments. Most players won't get to a base assignment, but for players that are running a route assignment, they might have a base assignment. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a group assignment. So remember when I was talking to you about the zone schemes and the power schemes right when we created this play? Well, this is where we're going to add a group of assignments to a group of players. So I click on this, and then I'm going to want it to add a zone scheme. So in the zone scheme wizard, it really understands you're probably going to want to add your zone scheme assignments to your offensive line. So it's already pre-selected the offensive line. But I can click these checkboxes to add other players to the zone scheme as well. Next, I can select what type of zone scheme this is. and then I can select the run blocking direction. I'll keep it as offensive play side, and then the second level scheme. So basically, the second level scheme is basically specifying how the double team should be targeted at the second level, meaning if there's a double team, who should they be targeting? And so you have two options here. You have player reference and ID system. Player reference will basically say that the center will take the first linebacker play side of him, and then the right guard will take the second player play side of the center. So the right tackle will have the third player, and the left guard will have the first player backside, and the left tackle will have the second player backside. That's a simple way of directing your second level blocking patterns. Another more complicated way is to set up a ID system. An ID system is for a more complex offense where you're going to set a point and then you can have it indexed based off of that point. In a later post, I'll walk you through how to create an ID system and then implement it in the system. But for right now, what we're going to do is you're going to use player reference. So next, I click player reference, then I click finish. Now it's asking me, how do I want to save this assignments? Do I want to overwrite the existing assignments, add it to the beginning of the list, or add it to the end? As we already know, when you look over here, there are no assignments in any of the players' assignment list. So we can just click overwrite and nothing really will happen. And now you see that all the players have an assignment. So I click on the right guard, and now you can see that he has 2 new assignments inside his assignment list. And I click on the other left tackle, and you can see that he has 2 new assignments. Click on the center, 2 assignments, and whatnot. So you're probably wondering, hey, why is this left tackle over here blocking the strong side D end up to the linebacker? Well, that's really because he's actually double teaming up to the linebacker, but there's really nobody to double team with. Let me show you how you can change the double team affinities for each one of the players. So I click on the left tackle, then I click on the zone gap blocking scheme, and now, as you can see, there's a simple checkbox here that I can click double team, and it will turn off his double teaming affinity. So let me click on that. So we click finish, and now you can see the left tackle will go straight up to the Mike linebacker. The left guard will double team with the center up to the Will. So you might be wondering, what happens if the strong side D end crosses face into his play side gap? Well, since MentalRep is a rule-based system and it's not a drawing tool, you won't have to change anything around. As you can see, inside the software is basically saying that he's going to block his play side gap. So if the strong side D end crosses face into his play side gap, then he'll block him. As simple as that. You don't have to change a thing. Next, we'll give the skill players their assignments, and then we'll pretty much be done with the play. So we click on the A, and now we want him to seal the backside D end. So we click add assignment, and then we give him a run route / pull assignment. We change the run type to pull, and then we click on the location that we want him to run. Basically, we're building a path that we want him to run. So if I want to change the location of the path, I just hover my mouse over the node and I change that. And if I want to add a new node, I just click anywhere on the screen and the path will be drawn. And if I want to remove a point, I hover my mouse over the node and I right click on it and I remove point. So I can remove a point here, hover my mouse, remove point, and we'll just have this right here. There. And last thing that we can do is we can add an assignment to the end of this pull path. So what you might notice is there's a blocking line. If we didn't add an assignment at the end of this path, the player will automatically just go and block the first player he finds at the end of this path. But what we'll do right now is we'll add an assignment so he's blocking a specific player. So we add an assignment, we add man blocking, and now I can just click on the player that I want him to block, and then he'll block. He'll block that player. And then we click finish. Now let's give the quarterback a handoff assignment. So we click on the quarterback, then we click on add assignments, and then we click on transfer handoff / pitch. Just like building an assignment for the A, building a handoff assignment, you just got to give him the path that you want him to run, and then he'll hand the ball off in that path. Let me right click on these nodes to remove it, and we'll just have this right here, remove point, and right here. So a little bit different than building the pull path is building the handoff assignment. What you'll notice right here is like a little circle. This is basically indicating when he reaches the end of this path, this is where the quarterback will be standing. And this box, that is where the handoff will occur. So you'll notice that the handoff will occur on the front side. And right now, we're probably going to want it to occur on the right side. Next, we'll set the recipient to be the B. We'll set B. And now, what you might have noticed is every time I make a change up here, there's a little actor up here that will change accordingly. So let me just change it again. Keep your eyes up here when I change it. I change it to X, and now it says saving, and all changes have been saved. All the changes that I make are automatically saved on the MentalRep servers, so there's no save button, and there's no threat of a lost information if the internet or power goes out. So let's change this back to the B, and as you can see, it's being saved, and then I click Finish. And now the quarterback has a handoff assignment. Next, we set this B to give him a run path so he knows where to run. And set that. And we want him to run right up the A gap. And we click Finish Editing. And now it's as simple as clicking play. And now he's got the ball. And there we go. You might have noticed that the back was kind of slow, and then he kind of sped up. So you'll see kind of slow, and then he sped up. So that means what's happening there is he's following the puller. And since this guy has a pull assignment, he's trying to not outpace his puller. So if once he gets in blocking, then he won't be outpacing him. But for this type of assignment, we're not going to want him to outpace the puller or even care about if he's outpacing the puller. So we click on the run assignment, and then we click follow puller, and we turn that off. And now he'll just shoot right up the gap. And as you see, the center took the player, and everything is all set. Last thing before I go is to set the publish. Publish means who can see this play. So I click on this little publish button up here. Now I can select which position group is able to see this play. I can select team, so the whole entire team can see the play, or I can select just the offense. Let's just set it as the entire team. So now I click publish, and now everybody can see the play. One last thing before I go is setting the play in the opposite direction. To set the play to the opposite direction so that you don't have to recreate the play is as simple as just giving it an opposite direction play name. I click on the text field up here, and then I click on the direction, click left side, and then I type the opposite play name, direction name, inside, zone, left. And then I click on the field, and so now I want to see what it will look like if it was going the opposite direction. So I highlight the play call, and then I type in inside zone left, and now you'll see that the play has flipped. So all the assignments have flipped, but the players haven't. And you might notice that the A is actually crossing the face, and it just doesn't look good, right? So now I have my offensive formation that I've already created, and then I type that in, and now you can see how it will look on the other side with a different formation. So you can go in here and you can mix and match formations, mix and match personnel groups, and then if I want to see how it's going to look versus, say, over defense, I click on over, and then I click base, and as you saw, alignments of the defensive players have switched, and MentalRep has automatically redrawn all the assignments and everything specifically for me. And basically, I've created a play in less than 10 minutes, and everything's already set. So now I click the play button, and now I can see what it'll look like in the opposite direction, and there you go.